welcome back to RubbinMinds. Still on the conversation on the factors that will shape 2026. We've looked at tax, we've looked at governance and politics, and now we move to the creative economy with Dirty December that has become a global phenomenon. All eyes have been on Nigeria's creative economy, from film to television to music to art to culture, and truly the numbers have been staggering, from the cinemas down to the streaming platforms. And we're asking, in 2026, will the creative economy deliver? And to discuss this very important topic, I have with me an A&R associate, Trust Roy. Welcome to RubbinMinds.
Thank you very much for having me.
And also I have Ella Chikezie, a filmmaker.
Thank you for having me on the show.
And thank you for honoring our invitation, and a happy 2026. So,
I am looking forward to the good, the bad, and the ugly.
well, with the shine, I'm like, are you still in Dirty December? Because are we not supposed to be in the clean January, or you're still, channeling?
Like this, so I can't complain.
Okay.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
Okay.
And you look fabulous, by the way.
Thank you. So, the creative economy, I just look at that, our baby that has now become this huge phenomenon that has taken the world by storm. And people are asking, like, yes, these numbers at the box office, on the streaming platforms, do they really translate into jobs? Does the creative economy have what it takes to truly change the fortunes of this country, the way we've seen in Hollywood, or the way we've seen, say, the music industry in America, for example? I'll start with you, Ella.
Well, thank you for that question. I believe that the creative economy has the power, to create sustainable jobs. In terms of skill, like we've seen a lot of in the music sector. Troy works in the music sector, so he can attest to that. We've seen Afrobeats like go global and all of that. And I think that the next stage, like, is Nollywood. Even though, yes, we've had some challenges that's kind of like kept us, we're still trying to find our feet. But I feel like compared to where we were and where we are heading, like there's hope for us to scale up and get like more sustainable work opportunities for people that work within the film value chain and the creative economy at large. Yeah.
Oh, just like Ella has rightly said, I definitely agree that the creative economy is creating jobs. And like my mentor would always say, when one artist is mildly successful, the artist creates jobs for multiple people. He has to hire a lawyer, he has to hire a manager, he or she has to hire a creative director. When you're beginning to do music videos, you have to hire more creatives to work with you. And that's for a mildly successful artist. I think of the jobs that people like Burna Boy or David or Wiz, have created by being global phenomenons, like they are now. So yes, it is creating job opportunities. I'm looking forward to seeing more things happening in film. And I mean, when you even think about it, on film sets, you have runners. There are lots of people that make that 1 hour, 30 minutes film, look like what it looks like on screen. A lot of jobs, there are lots of people working behind the scene. But we know that in 2026, more of those films, would have more people create more films. I'm more excited for the fact that, the creative economy is a little bit more decentralized. So I can sit down in the corner of my house and say, oh, I want to start an event IP today. And that means I need to hire a graphic designer to create my artwork. I need to hire DJs. So, 2026 will be an amazing year for the creative industry.
I hear you, and Afrobeats has taken the world by storm. But when you look back at December, we're a bit disappointed, shocked, surprised, where we're expecting sold out, and that didn't necessarily translate. And even our big stars, when they're doing their international tours, you see them coming out and canceling dates and canceling shows, and then you start to wonder, is Afrobeats beginning to lose its glimmer, its shine? Is the world moving on from Afrobeats, or is there some kind of disconnect? Because if it's really going to create all these jobs and is really that global phenomenon, then we should be doubling our dates, not canceling.
Well, Afrobeats is doing this thing. Nigerians are just poor, unfortunately. That's the truth.
But the international audience, I mean, you have some of these stars canceling some of their dates in the US, for example?
Well, show tickets are getting more expensive, and when you look at ticket price as opposed to experience, a lot of Afrobeat stars don't measure up. So for example, I was researching ticket sales for last year, and I found out that I think Wiz's ticket sales, correct me if I'm wrong, was more expensive than even Beyonce's tour, the Renaissance tour. The tickets were more expensive, and so fans will begin to ask themselves, why am I paying this much to see a Wiz, and he will not give me vocal experience, he will not give me perhaps all the theatrics, that they are used to on their own side of things. I mean, obviously they will get the vibe that this is very peculiar to Nigerians and how we do our
so
things.
Do you see things changing in 2026? Do you see some of those mistakes being corrected? Do you see, what are your projections for Afrobeats in 2026?
I think the artists are learning on the job. I mean, I just saw Ashake's Red Bull Symphony, concert, and it was amazing. Adekunle Gold just had a concert at the National Theatre in December, and it was fantastic. So these artists are learning. They are beginning to bring the international standards, to Nigeria, and even beginning to produce shows that are on that level, to match up to what is globally acceptable. So yes, we're expecting some more phenomenal shows in 2026.
Yeah, I think that's our crossed, because
yes.
I mean, we love to see our artists. And I'll move to you, Ella, when it comes to film. I mean, look at what's happening in Nollywood.
Yeah.
Crossing the 1 billion mark with behind the scenes. Funke Akindele has definitely nailed the formula. And then you see other filmmakers, like you have Ovasabi Auntie with the likes of Toyin Abraham. And you're seeing the cinema. Do you think that cinema will regain its dominance in 2026, or should the whole be we get stronger streaming platforms that are locally owned? Where are your projections going for this industry?
So I think that it's going to be a mix of both. We have cinema gain traction, in terms of numbers. Of course, we know that Nollywood, it's one of the biggest producers of films in the world. So yes, more people are still producing. But when you look at cinema, the issues are still there. You mentioned Auntie Funke, and she's made her mark and all of that. But there are still more producers like myself, still up and coming. I would like to make cinema, but at this stage of my career, do I want to really make cinema when I have an Auntie Funke, who's hacked it, So I feel yes, there will be more productions, cinema production, but I feel we also need locally owned, streaming platform with the exit of the giants, So yeah, my projection is that while we have cinemas, but I think that more and more platforms will still come out, like we're saying, that happened last year. Yeah, that's my projection.
I want you to answer very honestly the dilemma you face as a creative, as a filmmaker. On the one hand, you want to make your money back, but you also want to do work that will stand the test of time. So how do you do the math so that the math is mathing? So are you sacrificing on quality because it's going on a YouTube, and you're look, cinema I can't, so whatever you people get on YouTube, just help me manage them, because Netflix is not giving us money. Amazon has gone.
Okay, so as a creative and someone who works in the film space, for me, whatever I like to do, I like to show up and show up, show out, up and out. So for me, sacrificing quality is never in the books for me. And I feel like quality can be attained, regardless of funding. The way I like to approach filmmaking is from a collaborative point of view. And I've just been fortunate to have collaborated with some very excellent creatives, and it's really about leveraging those networks that I have, reaching out to them to say, hey, look, I can't pay you what Ijadi Oshiberu will pay you, but I'm starting out in the industry, and I think that if we can, approach this from a collaborative point of view, we can still be able to find a balance between quality and, the resources that are available. So that's my approach. With my short film, In Her Shoes, I got a grant from Ford Foundation and Tricom Productions, and I was able to it was a very micro grant, but when you watch this film, you could actually tell that the money that was spent, is more than what, we're giving. So the way I approached it was that I reached out to a friend who has done some African Magic production. He has access to his post-production studio. So I asked him to please, come on board as an associate producer, and let's see. I didn't pay him his fee. But because he was willing to, and he knew the value I was bringing, he was willing to like meet me halfway. So that's how I would approach it.
So that collaboration over competition. I love that, and I think it's something that the entire creative ecosystem can learn from. So I'll move to you, Trust. Now let's look holistically. I know we've focused this conversation mainly on music and film, but there's still other aspects like comedy. You also have like the arts, the culture, the festivals. In your projections for 2026, which ones do you think will really do well, and which ones that haven't done so well? What needs to be done so that they too are performing at that level?
Well, in 2026, I think we're going to see more streamers. And when I mean streamers, it's not streaming on Netflix or Prime Video. There's a bunch of guys streaming on the internet via Twitch, via TikTok, via Bigo Live. Big shouts to streamers like CN and Tega. I think that those guys have spotlighted the people on the underground community, and we're going to see a lot more people streaming. I just saw videos the other day that Fina from Big Brother has already started streaming on Twitch as well. So we're going to see that aspect in the creative industry. We're going to see that more because more people are embracing it. DDG is in Nigeria now. Enzo is in Nigeria now. Some of the big, some of the big streamers just came to Nigeria to just stream and connect with our streamers. Katafe has broken the record for streaming in Nigeria, so we're going to see a lot more people try to get into the streaming industry on that side of things. I don't really know what's going to happen. I have no idea, or I have no hopes for comedy because like Nigerians are having a very hard time. So like I think that, because comedy has now been decentralized into skits and there are a lot more memes on the internet, I'm not quite sure a lot of people will be willing to pay a lot of money to go and sit down and perhaps watch maybe an Alibaba show or a Baskin Mouse show. Well, they have their audience, obviously, but I don't think that the general masses will be leaning towards, going to theaters to watch comedy shows as much as they did back in the day when Oprah Williams had this thing, going on with Nights of a Thousand Laugh
and Ella, what do you make about the other industries like the fashion industry, arts, culture?
I mean, with arts and culture, we've seen the revival of the National Museum. So I think that's a
National
good
Theatre.
National Theatre. Sorry. So I think that's a good start. Like with more plays, more theatre productions coming out this December alone. I know there were so many plays, and most people were taking it to the National Theatre. So I see more productions like that coming up. With streaming too as well. We've had streamers like Kava come up. I think Ebony Life also did something. So I think for 2026 this year, we'll see more of that. And
what about fashion? In
terms of fashion, well, I don't know about.
Are you proudly wear Nigerian?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we saw Ciara at the Lagos Fashion Week. So, and even when she was here, she's gone on like to show, the culture that she experienced here, in how she dressed, she walked the carpet, it went viral. She's putting on, what's the name of this fashion designer? She's putting on his outfits. And we can hear the Nigerian music in the background. So it's a measure of both fashion, music, everything. So it's, for me, I'm excited for 2026. We just need to stay authentic, if anything.
When I think about fashion, I mean, I like to think about fashion in a broader perspective. For me, fashion is beyond just wearing the clothes. November is Fashion Week and attend these fashion shows. What I would like to see is a revamp of our textile industry. I was at a Bando supermarket trying to buy something the other day, and I saw a small bag, and I saw cotton seeds. I was like, and I've gone to a few places in Osun State and Ibadan, and I saw cotton plants. I was like, okay, so it means cotton grows well in Nigeria. How about we now revamp our textile industry and start farming cotton for export? So just basically revamping our textile industry, because if we don't have a vibrant textile industry, the fashion we're having, a lot of designers are going to China and going to different Asian countries to buy fabrics to now create designs. So like the money is not revolving in our ecosystem at the end of the day. Absolutely. Where we're just doing finished products, but so we need to go from farm to finished product, and that's what I would love to see. I don't know how soon we can achieve that, but that's something I would really love to see. That way our fashion can now compete on the global stage.
And we hope that the government really focuses and hones in on the potential of, the creative economy. Thank you so much, Osroy and Ella Chikeze, for being our guest on Rubbing Minds.
Thank you.
And happy 2026 once again.
Thank you.
And this is where we wrap the show. Remember, you can follow the conversation online using the hashtag RubbingMinds. My name is Isabella Adediji. Do enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And again, happy 2026.